Hello, welcome to our final recitation, which is about the recitation project. And the recitation project is actually an assignment of our course. And don't forget to remember to submit the recitation project before the due date, because our recitation sections are asynchronous mode. And then your due date for the recitation project will be April 25th. So don't forget to submit it before the due date. This recitation project is worth of 25 points, and you need to follow my steps to complete this recitation project. Okay. The background of this recitation project is designed to practice the use of formulas, building Microsoft Excel functions, what-if analysis. For this recitation project, first we need to create a new spreadsheet, and we can name it as recitation project. Okay, and follow our directions. So please first enter your name on cell A1 of this worksheet. My name is Wang, and now let's come to our instructions. So first, you need to just write the assignment 1 on the cell of C3. So in C3, please write assignment 1. And next, you should use the autofill to just spread this assignment 1 to assignment 11. To assignment 11, which should be ended at C13, right here. We can double click on the borderline to adjust the width of these cells, this column automatically. And next, we should write quiz 1 in the location of C14. And we should use the autofill to spread this to quiz number 9, which should be ended at the cell C22. Okay, and the next job, we should rename our worksheet as grades. So right click on the worksheet tab and click rename, make it as grades. Okay, so from number C24 to C28, we just write example 1 and spread it using autofill to exam 2. And next is instructor extra credit. Next is TA extra credit. Next one is recitation project. And starting from C30, we can just write final exam 1, final exam part 1, and spread this to final exam part 3. Okay. Now starting from D3, we should enter the numeric scores that you have obtained so far as listed in the scores column of the grade page. Because for your grades, it is very private, so I cannot show you the grade page. Please log into your Canvas and goes to the grades page, and you should just write your grade for each assignment, each quiz, and each exam right here. Like, assume that You have got 20 for assignment 1, 21, 22, 23, and 20, 21. Sorry. The assignment 1 is the assignment with extra credit, and the maximum grades you can get for assignment 1 should be 2. So for this one is 2. And starting from assignment 2 to assignment 8, the maximum grade you can get is 25. So assume that you have got 22 for assignment 7, 23 for assignment 8. And starting from assignment 9, the total grade has come to 20. And for this one, assume that it is 19, and this one is 18. For assignment 11, the total grade is 25. Assume this one is 24. Actually, because we have not given you the grades for assignment 11, we can leave it as blank. You don't need to write the grade for assignment 11. And starting from quiz 1 to quiz 9. And I just copied the grade for one student. And we have 9 quiz, and on your Canvas grades page, the name for different quizzes should be week 3, week 4, week 5, week 7, week 8, week 9, week 10. And the last 2 should be week 12 and week 13. We have not started our quiz for week 13, which should be the quiz 9. So you can leave this one as blank. And for exam 1 and exam 2, the total points are 50. So we assume that you have got 36 for exam 1 and 42 for exam 2. And because the instructor extra point, TA extra point, and the grade for recitation project, and also the final exam has not been given. So you don't need to fill in the cells for this part. Okay. Next, in the column of E, please just enter the maximum of the grade you can get for different item. Like for assignment 2, the maximum grade we can get is 2. And for the assignment 2 to assignment 8, the maximum grade you can get is 25. So enter 25, use the autofill. Spread this to assignment 8. And for assignment 9 and 10, the maximum point you can get is 20. For quiz number 1 to quiz number 3, the maximum points you can get is 5. So 1, 2, 3, quiz number 1 to 3 is 5. Quiz number 4 is 10. Quiz number 5 is also 5. 6, quiz number 6 and number 7 should be 10. Quiz number 8 is 5. And because we didn't finish our assignment 11 and quiz number 9, so you don't need to fill in any cells in the column D or the column E. And for exam 1 and 2, so it should be 50, right? Okay. Okay, after finish this task, now we want to calculate the totals, and based on your total points, we will calculate the letter grade and your performance. So please write totals on the cell of C35, and then we should use the SUMIF, right? SUMIF to calculate the totals. The range is D number 3 to D number 32. And next, criteria. Criteria should be large or equal to 0. And the sum range should be kept as the same with the data range, which is also D3 to D32. Okay, please press tab. And the total points we have got till now is 322.33. This is the total points we have got till now. Now, it's just the right performance in the cell of C36, and we just calculate the percentage of the total points over the total points we can get. Sorry. We should first use the autofill to calculate the total points we can get till now. The maximum points we can get till now, which should be 372. And calculate the performance, which is a percentage. So the formula should be D number 35 over E number 35. Okay. We can right click and click the format cells. We change the formatting into percentage, and the decimal places are 2. Oh, sorry, the decimal places should be 1. Okay. Now let's continue. And now we should calculate the letter grade based on the performance, and we should use the VLOOKUP function. Before we use the VLOOKUP function, we should first make up the VLOOKUP table. So starting from G3, please just write the lookup table, which is the relationship between the performance, which is percentage, and the letter grade. So if you have got 0% to 60%, the letter grade should be F. And if you get 60% to 70%, the letter grade should be D. And 17 to 76%, that grade is C. 76 to 80%, letter grade should be C+. 80 to 87, that grade is B. 87 to 90, letter grade is B+. And if you get over 90% of the total point, you will get an A. So this is our VLOOKUP table. Now please enter the item letter grade in the C37, and on D37 we should just call the VLOOKUP function. And lookup value is obviously the D number 36, and the table array should be G. We can use the absolute reference, G3 to H9, right? G3 to H9. And we should present the item in the second column. And approximate match is 2. Okay, so if we have got a performance for 86.6%, our letter grade should be B, which is corresponding to our VLOOKUP table. Okay, move it into the right. Okay, cool. Okay, next part is about our second chance policy. The second chance policy is that for the final exam, we have 3 parts, and for each part, the maximum point is 25. If, like, for example, if you got 22 for the part 1 of the final exam, and 2 times 22 is 44. The 44 is larger than the grade of the exam 1 you got, which is 36. So the final exam grade will overwrite the grade of your exam 2 of your exam 1. So we will just add 44 to our totals rather than 36 of your exam 1 grade to the total. This is called the second chance policy. And as a thing, if you got 23 for final exam part 1, and later, because 2 times the 23, which is 46, is larger than 42 of your grade for exam 2. So your final exam part 2 grade will override the grade of your exam 2. This is our second chance policy. So let's make some hypotheses. Like for final exam part 1, you got 22, part 2, you got 23, and part 3, you got 21. And because we have the second chance policy, so we need to, we should not only calculate the sum of all the items, and we should apply the second chance policy on that. So after we calculate the sum of all the items in our course, we should first use the if function, and our logical test should be 2 times the grade for final exam part 1, which should be located in D30. And this one should be, if this one is larger than that of exam 1, which is D24, then we will just make this return, make the value we return of this formula as 2 times D30 minus D25. This is the value if true, and the value if false, we can make it at 0, right? Which means that if if your grade for final exam part 1 doesn't apply to the second chance policy, so we don't need to care about adding more points to your totals. And this is the if statement for exam 1, and in the if statement for exam 2, the logical test is 2 times D31 is larger than D25. If this statement is true, which means that your final exam part 1 is part 2 is larger than that of your exam 2, so we will return the value is 2 times D31 minus D25. If the statement is false, we will return 0. Okay, this is our formula, and press tab. So after applying the second chance policy, the total scores we have got is 400.33. So the performance has been updated into 89%, and the letter grade has been upgraded from B to B+. This is the second chance policy. Because we have not performed the final exam, so the grade we enter here is only our hypothesis. We just assume that you have got such a distribution for your final exam. And now we want to apply the what if analysis. Maybe we can try markers of your final exam's grades distributions. For different final exam grade distribution, you will get different performance and letter grade. Now, please click the Data tab and click the What If analysis. What If analysis. It's right here. Please click the What If analysis and click Scenario Manager. Now we should just click Add, and the scenario game we name it as Scenario 1. Scenario 1, and the changing cells, because we want to just change the grade for final exam part 1. So for example, we change the cells of D30 to D32 and click OK. Now the scenario manager will just open up a new window, and we should enter values for each of the changing cells. Like we assume that for part 1 we have got a lower grade, like 19. For scenario 2 we just get, which is final exam part 2, we just get 18. And for the part number 3, we only get 14, and click OK. And next, we add another scenario, make it as scenario 2. For this scenario, we may get a higher grade distribution, like 23, 24, 24. And for scenario 3, maybe we'll get a very good grade for part 1, like 24, or bad grade for part 2, which is 13, and a normal grade for part 3, which is 15 or 16. Click OK. And after we has added up the 3 scenarios and click Show. Oh, sorry. We should click the summary. Click the summary, and the result cells, which should be D number 37, which is a letter grade, and we make it as a scenario summary. Just click OK. Now the spreadsheet will open up a new worksheet called Scenario Summary, and it presents 3 scenarios, scenario 1, 2, 3. And we have just add different grade distribution for different scenarios. For scenario 1, the distribution is 19 for part 1, 18 for part 2, 14 for part 3. And for this scenario, you will still got B letter grade. And for a second scenario, you will get an A. For the third scenario, you will still get an B. This is the what if analysis. Okay, I believe this is all for our recitation project. Actually, this is not difficult for you to complete. Please do not forget to submit your recitation project before the due date. Bye.